Hello there, friend. Let's take a moment to talk about something that might feel a little uncomfortable, but is so important to address, especially at this stage of life. Have you ever been around someone you care about, a family member, a friend, maybe even a neighbor, and felt a subtle shift in the air? A moment where their smile didn't quite reach their eyes, or their words felt just a bit colder than usual. Maybe you've brushed it off, telling yourself, "Oh, they're just having a bad day." But deep down, that little voice in your heart keeps whispering, something isn't right here. You see, as we get older, we've earned the right to surround ourselves with people who truly value us. Life's too short for anything less. But sometimes, even those we've trusted for years can quietly pull away. Or worse, hold on to resentment they never quite voice. And that silence, it can weigh on us, leaving us confused or even doubting ourselves. Today, let's gently explore some of those subtle signs that someone close might secretly harbor negative feelings toward you. Not to stir up worry, but to empower you with clarity, because you deserve relationships that lift you up, not leave you guessing. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about jumping to conclusions or assuming the worst in people. We're all human, and everyone has off days. But when certain behaviors become a pattern, a quiet, consistent undercurrent, it's worth paying attention. Let's start by talking about one of the most telling signs: avoidance. Think about someone in your life who's become harder to reach. Maybe they used to call regularly, or you'd share coffee every Tuesday. But lately, they're always too busy. They cancel plans last minute, or their responses to your messages are short and vague. "Oh, let's reschedule" turns into "I'll let you know." And then silence. Of course, life gets busy for everyone, we all know that. But when someone consistently prioritizes everything over spending time with you, it's worth asking why. Are they truly overwhelmed, or are they quietly stepping back? Here's the thing, avoidance isn't always loud. It's not slamming doors or heated arguments. It's the slow fade, the gradual withdrawal that leaves you wondering, did I do something wrong? And that's the hardest part, isn't it? The not knowing. But here's a gentle reminder. You are not responsible for someone else's unspoken feelings. Their actions, or lack thereof, are about them, not you. Now, let's talk about body language. Oh, we've all heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. And at our age, we've learned to trust our instincts. Have you ever noticed someone physically pulling away when you're together? A stiff hug, crossed arms, or that subtle lean back when you're sitting side by side. Maybe their eyes dart around the room instead of meeting yours, as if they're searching for an escape. These aren't just quirks, they're unconscious signals. Our bodies often betray what our mouths won't say. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're at a family gathering, and your niece, who used to laugh at your stories, now stands with her body turned slightly away from you, arms folded. She nods along but doesn't engage. Later, when you mention getting together, she quickly changes the subject. It's subtle, but it's there. That physical distance, it's rarely an accident. Our bodies align with our hearts, friend. If someone's heart isn't in a relationship anymore, their posture will show it. But let's not forget the power of kindness, both for others and ourselves. Before assuming the worst, consider giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're dealing with struggles you don't know about. A simple, open-hearted conversation can work wonders. Something like, "I've noticed we haven't connected as much lately. Is everything okay?" Their response will tell you more than any guesswork ever could. Now, let's move to another sign, dismissiveness. This one's tricky because it often masquerades as humor or just kidding. Have you ever shared a thought or feeling, only to have it brushed aside with a "you're too sensitive" or a "lighten up, it was a joke"? Maybe they downplay your achievements, interrupt you mid-sentence, or outright ignore your opinions. Over time, this erodes your confidence, making you feel small and visible even. Think about a friend who used to celebrate your milestones, but now shrugs them off. You mention your new painting hobby, and they say, "Isn't that a bit ambitious at your age?" Or you share a concern about your health, and they reply, "Well, what do you expect? We're not spring chickens anymore." Those comments, they're not harmless. They're subtle daggers, dressed up as honesty. But true friends don't diminish your light. They help it shine brighter. Remember, you've lived a life full of wisdom and grace. You don't need to tolerate being dismissed or belittled. Not by anyone. It's okay to set boundaries, to say, "I value our relationship, but I need us to speak kindly to each other." And if they can't respect that, well, that tells you everything you need to know. These signs, avoidance, body language, dismissiveness, they're not meant to make you paranoid. They're tools to help you see clearly, to honor your worth, and to decide where to invest your precious time and energy. Because at this stage of life, every moment counts. And the people who truly matter, they'll show up, not just with their words, but with their actions. Now, let's take a breath. What we've covered today isn't easy, but it's a start. And in the next part, we'll explore a few more signs, like backhanded compliments and the silence that speaks volumes, along with practical steps to address these situations with courage and kindness. Because you, my friend, deserve peace of mind and relationships that fill your heart, not drain it. You know, one of the hardest parts of navigating relationships as we age is realizing that not every unkindness is loud. Sometimes it's the quiet moments, the words left unsaid, the warmth that's gone just a little cold, that leave the deepest marks. But here's the good news. Once you know what to look for, you can approach these situations with both wisdom and compassion. Let's dive a little deeper, shall we? Earlier, we talked about avoidance, body language, and dismissiveness. Now, let's explore another sign that's often wrapped in a pretty bow, backhanded compliments. You've probably heard a few of these in your time. They sound like praise on the surface, but there's a sting hidden in the tail. For example, "You look great for your age." Or maybe, "It's so brave of you to try new things now. Most people your age just give up." These remarks can leave you feeling confused. Were they trying to compliment you or subtly knock you down? The key is to notice how you feel after the interaction. Do you walk away uplifted? Or does their comment linger in your mind like a splinter? A true compliment should make your heart glow, not make you second-guess yourself. And if someone consistently leaves, feeling smaller after they've praised you, that's not friendship, it's friction. Let me share a story. A viewer once told me about her sister-in-law, who'd always say things like, "I wish I had your confidence to wear bright colors. Most older women stick to neutrals." On the surface, it sounds harmless, but over time, those little jabs made her doubt her choices, even stop wearing her favorite red dress. It wasn't until she paused and asked herself, "Does this woman truly want me to feel good about myself?" that she saw the pattern. Sometimes, the people closest to us struggle to celebrate our joy, especially if they're unhappy themselves. Now, let's talk about something we've all encountered but might not name: passive-aggressive behavior. This one's like a shadow. It's hard to pin down, but you know it's there. Maybe it's a family member who forgets to invite you to a gathering, then says, "Oh, I thought you wouldn't want to come." Or a friend who jokingly brings up an old mistake every time you're together. "Remember when you messed up the recipe at the potluck?" Classic you. They laugh, but it doesn't feel like a joke. It feels like a jab. Passive aggression thrives on ambiguity. The person might deny any ill intent if confronted, leaving you wondering, am I just being too sensitive? But here's the truth. If it feels hurtful, it's worth addressing. You don't have to accuse or argue. Simply name what you're observing. Try saying, "When you bring up that story, it makes me feel like you're holding on to resentment. Can we talk about it?" Their reaction will tell you everything. Either they'll apologize and adjust, or they'll deflect, proving the point. Next, let's discuss a sign that's as quiet as a falling leaf: the absence of reciprocity. Relationships are like gardens. They need mutual care to thrive. But if you're always the one planting seeds while someone else just walks through, admiring the flowers, that's not a partnership. Think about the calls you initiate, the invitations you extend, the support you give. Is it returned in kind? Or do you feel like you're pouring energy into a well that never fills up? Now life happens. We all go through seasons where we can't give as much as we'd like. But when someone consistently takes without giving, when they only reach out when they need something, or vanish when you need support, it's worth reflecting on. You deserve relationships where effort flows both ways. It's not about keeping score, but about mutual respect. As my grandmother used to say, a one-sided friendship is just a long goodbye. Finally, let's touch on the most silent sign of all: indifference. Indifference isn't anger or conflict. It's the absence of care. It's when someone no longer reacts to your joys or sorrows. You share exciting news, and they respond with a flat, "That's nice." You mention a loss, and they change the subject. It's as if you've become a stranger to them, even after years of history. And that can hurt more than any harsh word. Imagine telling your lifelong friend about your grandson's graduation, only to have them scroll through their phone and say, "Oh, good for him." That emptiness, that lack of shared joy, stings because it tells you the relationship has gone cold. But here's the thing: indifference is often a mask for deeper feelings they're unwilling to face. Maybe envy, maybe guilt, maybe unresolved hurt. And while you can't fix it for them, you can choose to redirect your energy toward those who truly cherish you. These signs aren't meant to make you distrustful. They're here to help you protect your peace. You've spent decades giving your love and time to others. Now, in this chapter of life, it's okay to be selective. To say, "I deserve kindness as deep as the kindness I've given." And sometimes, that means lovingly stepping back from relationships that no longer serve your heart. In the next part, we'll talk about how to address these situations, whether through conversation, boundary setting, or quiet acceptance, and how to fill your life with connections that truly nourish your soul, because you, my friend, are worthy of a circle that reflects the warmth and wisdom you bring to the world. By now, we've walked through some tender territory together, and if you're feeling a mix of emotions, maybe relief, maybe sadness, maybe even a spark of clarity, that's okay. Recognizing these signs isn't about dwelling on the negative. It's about making space for the relationships that truly matter. So let's wrap this journey with grace, focusing on what you can do to protect your heart and nurture connections that bring you joy. Let's start with the power of honest conversation. Now, I know confrontation isn't easy, especially when it involves someone you've known for years. But there's a difference between confrontation and clarity. Think of it as opening a window to let fresh air into a stuffy room. You're not attacking, you're simply asking, "Is everything okay between us?" For example, if a friend's backhanded compliments keep chipping at your confidence, you might say, "I've noticed you often mention my age when I share good news. It makes me feel like you don't take me seriously. Can we talk about that?" Now, their response might surprise you. They could apologize, unaware they hurt you, or they might deflect, confirming your suspicions. Either way, you've honored your feelings, and that's a victory, because silence only breeds misunderstanding, while honesty plants seeds of resolution. And if those seeds don't grow, that's not your failure. Some people simply aren't ready to tend the garden. Next, let's talk about boundaries, a word that might sound harsh, but is really an act of love. Boundaries aren't walls, they're guide rails. They say, "This is what I need to feel safe and valued." For instance, if a relative only calls to vent but never asks how you're doing, you might gently say, "I care about you, but I need our conversations to go both ways. Let's take turns sharing." If they respect that, the relationship grows. If not, You've saved your energy for those who will. And here's something I want you to hear deep in your bones. It's okay to walk away. You don't owe anyone endless chances to disrespect you. If a relationship drains more than it fills, stepping back isn't cruel, it's courageous. Think of it like decluttering a crowded room. You're not throwing away memories. You're making space for new light to pour in. Now, let's focus on the flip side, cultivating relationships that do uplift you. Reconnect with that old friend who always laughs at your jokes. Join a community group where your stories are cherished. Spend time with family who lean in when you speak. These are the people who make your soul feel at home. And if you're thinking, but what if I'm alone? Remember, solitude is not loneliness. It's better to savor your own company than endure the company of those who diminish you. Finally, let's talk about forgiveness, not for them, but for you. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person gets sick. Forgive their humanity, forgive your own doubts, and let that weight go. This doesn't mean excusing their behavior. It means freeing yourself to move forward. As the saying goes, you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. Sometimes, forgiveness is simply choosing your peace over their presence. So let's bring this full circle. You've lived a life rich with love, lessons, and resilience. You've earned the right to be surrounded by people who see your worth without you having to prove it. If certain relationships no longer fit, it's not an ending, it's an invitation. An invitation to invest in yourself, to rediscover old passions, and to welcome new connections that align with the vibrant person you are right now. Before we go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you navigated a relationship that needed boundaries or healing? What wisdom would you share with others in our community? Drop a comment below. Your story might be the light someone else needs. And if this video resonated with you, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. We're here to navigate this chapter of life together with kindness and courage. Remember, friend, the best chapters of your story are still being written. Surround yourself with those who turn the pages with joy and never settle for anything less than the love you deserve. Here's to your peace, your strength, and the beautiful connections that await. You are worthy, always.